to each other. So, seems like the gang's all here, so I hereby call this meeting of the Henry County School Board to order. Mrs. Meeks, if you would, with the roll call.
Mr. Alton.
Here.
Ms. Brander.
Here.
Ms. Durden.
Here.
Mr. Bradley.
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Ms. Whitlow.
Here.
Ms. Patel.
Here.
Mr. Bateman.
Here.
All right. First item we have is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any motion to approve as presented or any other?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Hardy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Durden. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Certainly want to welcome all those of you who have come out and joined us this evening, and look forward to having you with us through interesting. It's been an interesting month, so I'm sure the meeting will align accordingly. So if you would, we'll ask you to please stand. We'll do a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Mr. Bateman, if you would, with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. My comment would be my selection there was based on who was best dressed tonight. So just putting that out there. All right. So next up on the agenda is public comment, and Mrs. Meeks, no one contacted, signed up ahead. Correct. All right, thank you. Next up is awards and recognitions, and we have Hispanic Heritage Month, and I believe we have Ms. Patel.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. She's going to read the resolution first. I'm so sorry.
Whereas the Hispanic and Latino community represents a large, diverse, and vital part of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and whereas dating back many centuries, Hispanic and Latino heritage in the Commonwealth of Virginia has a significant influence on the rich of our society, and whereas vibrant Hispanic and Latino influence can be seen in all aspects of Virginia life and culture, including the arts, sciences, business, academia, government, and our nation's military. And whereas Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month began in 1988 with a 31-day commemoration beginning on September 15 and ending on October 15 to pay tribute to and recognize the important contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans. And whereas September 15 is significant as the anniversary of independence for the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And whereas Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence on September 16 and September 18 respectively, and whereas the Virginia Latino Advisory Board was created to recognize the importance of the contributions of Latinos in Virginia and continues to advise and inform the governor on issues facing Latino constituents and advocates for Latino interests. And whereas citizens are encouraged to participate in activities designed to bring recognition, understanding, and appreciation to the significant contributions made by Hispanic and Latino Americans. And whereas our Hispanic and Latino community exhibits devotion to family, faith, country, and entrepreneurship, bringing unique perspectives and experiences that strengthen the spirit of Virginia. Now, therefore, I, Glenn Youngkin, do hereby recognize September 15 through October 15, 2024 as Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens.
Thank you very much. So now we're to the Hispanic student presentation, and feel free to come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, lots of a member. My name is Karina Altamirano. I am the EL Hispanic Liaison for Henry County Public Schools. My position is new this year, but this position is a true representation of HCPS mission, which is to serve our diverse community of learners. My goal is to continue to foster strong partnerships between our schools and our English learner families. This school year alone, we have welcomed 38 newly arrived students from various countries. Our EO teachers are working hard to service over 500 active EL students. If you look at the slide, you will see that we have students from over 28 different birth countries. In HCPS, we welcome and celebrate diversity. This month, our schools have each celebrated Hispanic heritage in their own unique way, as you can see in the following slide. Through this celebration, some of our EL students have shared their journeys with us, reminding us of the courage and strength they show as they have persevered through adversities to pursue their educational goals. We have one of those students here with us today. His name is Gerson de Jesus Sunja Chok, a senior at Bassett High School who arrived from Guatemala 2 years ago. English is his third language.
Wow.
Gerson's first language is Quechua, a dialect from Guatemala. He then learned Spanish and now is learning English. A lot know Gerson because he works his weekend as a barber and he has earned a reputable name with the Latino community. Gerson would like to share his story with you today.
Hi, my name is Gerson de Jesus. My story. My life in Guatemala was very difficult. In Guatemala, there is poverty and limited opportunities for education and work. This was separating from my siblings and my parents in order to able to provide for them and take care of them from here. When I arrived in this country, it was hard for me. I felt lonely without having someone to talk to every day like my classmates did. It was also very difficult in class to talk and understand my teachers. I felt very lost and alone. When I began school here, I started to learn English. It was difficult to understand, but I continued to practice. My teachers are patient. I want to thank them for their patience and compassion and help me learn. I try to go to school every day. I'm grateful because I have been able to learn a lot. My goal is to graduate in this year. I continue my career as a barber. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerson, for sharing your story with us. You're a great example of the strength our EL students show every single day. We also would like to invite you, the board members, to our EL event happening next Wednesday, October the 9th, starting at 5 p.m. at Jack Dalton Park, where we will be celebrating and ending our Hispanic Heritage event, and we will be promoting bilingual reading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and the next item we have is Bullying Prevention Month. Mr. Bateman.
Whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States and Virginia, and whereas over 20% of the youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as a bully or as a victim, and whereas an estimated 14% of public schools report that bullying is a discipline problem occurring daily or at least once a week. Whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and in cyberspace, and can happen in many places on and off school grounds. Whereas it is important to Virginia parents, students, teachers, and school administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the problem as a school community. And whereas the VSBA has developed sample policies to encourage positive behaviors and to eliminate bullying behaviors. Now therefore, the Virginia School Boards Association recognized the month of October 2024 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month, with the intention that the issue of bullying and its prevention to be discussed in Virginia schools and classrooms during that time.
Thank you very much. All right, we are up to our information agenda and cybersecurity awareness. Ms. Fulcher.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Because October is also Cybersecurity Awareness Month, I would like to share some information with you about cyber threats and how Henry County Public Schools safeguards the learning environment. In today's technologically advanced world, educational institutions play a crucial role in preparing students for the digital future. However, with the increasing prevalence of cyber threats, safeguarding sensitive data and creating a secure learning environment is more important than ever. Education institutions have a responsibility to protect student and staff data and to provide a secure digital environment. We hold a wealth of sensitive information, including student records, financial data, confidential personnel files. Implementing robust cybersecurity measures is paramount to safeguarding this data from unauthorized access, theft, or breaches. There are 3 common threats to educational institutions. Phishing attacks involve deceptive emails or websites designed to trick users into revealing sensitive information such as usernames, passwords, or financial details. These messages often mimic legitimate sources such as banks or principals or educational institutions to gain trust and encourage users to click on malicious links or attachments. HCPS implements email filtering systems and educates students and staff on identifying phishing attempts. Ransomware is a type of malware that locks down data on a device or network until a ransom is paid. Once infected, ransomware can encrypt important files, making them inaccessible until the user pays the attacker's demand. HCPS protects against this by implementing robust security software and regularly backing up critical data and educating users on recognizing and avoiding malware. Then there's social engineering, which is like your social media, such as Facebook. It involves tricking people that exploit It involves tricks that exploit human psychology to gain unauthorized access to systems or data. Attackers might impersonate someone, use deception, or appeal to emotions to persuade people to share confidential information or give access to sensitive resources. HCPS educates staff and students on social engineering tactics, such as recognizing suspicious requests for information to help safeguard the institution. There are practices that help keep everyone safe, such as using strong, complex passwords that combine uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols, and they should be updated regularly. Multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security by requiring users to provide 2 or more forms of authentication, such as a password and a one-time code. This reduces the risk of unauthorized access, even if a password is compromised. And you may recall you got a parent swear or email request asking for you to do 2-step authentication on your emails, which I think most of you have already done. We've asked all the staff in the district to do the same, and we're giving them until October, until Friday, till tomorrow, to get that done, and then Monday we'll help them do that if they've not done that. Software updates is also another way to practice good cyber hygiene. This helps keep us safe because they often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities and protect against known threats. In the classroom, HCPS provides a secure Wi-Fi connection, web filtering and monitoring tools to ensure safe browsing and regular security updates for student and staff devices. HCPS creates a culture of cyber awareness by offering regular training sessions on cybersecurity best practices for all staff and students via KnowBe4. Students and staff are expected to report any suspicious activities or potential security threats they encounter. HCPS implements clear reporting channels, and all reports are taken seriously and investigated promptly. And then we also have different ways that students can get involved in cybersecurity. And our elementary schools, media specialists, they work on digital citizenship and your online footprint and etiquette when you're online. So they start very young when they're in the media center. And then middle school and high school offer different opportunities. Computer science discovery, there's the cybersecurity fundamentals at Career Academy. And then we also encourage all teachers to address cybersecurity and digital citizenship in the classroom, because as we just heard, bullying can also happen in cyberspace. And so that's important that we address that while we're talking about cybersecurity. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
I do have a couple of reminders. If you have not set up multi-factor authentication, you can click here and there's a link. You're giving yourself away.
Oh.
There is a link here with step-by-step directions, whether you have an Apple device or an Android device. And then also, side note, nothing to do with cybersecurity, but if you have not set up the app and would like to, I've already given you a piece of paper with a QR code so that you can register for the app, and you can also register online for Parent Square. And those directions are also here. So if you need help with either one of those, just let me know.
I have a quick question, and it may answer some questions for some staff. Is there something that's put on emails, or is it just the encryption or something where if they try to screenshot or forward, it doesn't let them and it makes it a black screen?
It should not.
Okay, I had two at least, try to send me like a screenshot of their email and it kept just coming up a black screen. So it may have been the user or something on their phone, but.
Yes, it
Okay.
could have, but if they need assistance, they can just reach out to their technician
Okay.
at their school.
Thank you so much.
Just as a comment, and I guess a public announcement, NCI is hosting a Cyber Awareness Day on October the 17th, and Ms. Fulcher and her team will be there to present. And I share that because, you know, this is, I mean, and all of us know, this is major, you know. I thought I was hacked the other day through my bank account too. And I hit the panic button and had to go through a whole lot of changes. But anyway, very good information, and again, it's open to the entire community. They're gonna be there pretty much all day with various sessions. So I encourage, you know, to share the information. Again, it's the 17th at NCI, start at about 10 o'clock, I think, you know. But very good information.
And on another side note, the Apple TV has just stopped picking up my device. I think everyone has a paper copy of the agenda in front of them while I work on fixing that.
Well, I did have one quick question, and it would be funny if I don't have a paper copy of the agenda in front of me, but you do? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gravely. My question actually was going to be, I've seen different opinions on this, and I saw the change your password regularly, but do you have a preference of what that length of time or what regular would be? Thank you.
Well, in Power School, we change it every 60 days.
Okay.
Because Power School is a lot of important data.
Understood.
That we want to make it. We used to do 90 days, and we just shortened it to 60 days. And I think in Munis, Dr. Boone, it's every 90 days for Tyler Technologies. So that seems to be the trend.
Yeah, I was going to say, in my experience, it's 30, 60, or 90 days, and I've seen different answers, different places, so I was kind of interested where we fell in that category, but I agree with you, particularly.
And you should never use the same password for everything, because I know that makes it easy for you to remember, but then if somebody figures out one, then they figured out your password to everything. One of the things you can do is use something similar, but if you're, it's your Lowe's password, you could put a capital L at the end or write out Lowe's. So there's something different about every single password so that they all don't match.
No.
And don't ever share your passwords with anyone, and don't ever put it on Post-it and lay it on your laptop so that you can remember them. Those are very bad practices.
I'll get you to laugh and say I won't divulge which of my various entities it was, but I was in the IT director's office and saw passwords written down like that. So, but no, appreciate that.
That was where you work and not where I work.
No. I said I won't say which entity it was, but it wasn't here. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you. With that said, I believe the next item on our agenda is the Executive Order 33 updates.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. If I may just take
No,
one
you're fine.
moment of personal privilege. At your seats tonight, you should have a copy of a book that was prepared by some of our Hispanic students, and also a sampling of a very popular candy in the Hispanic community. Ms. Altamirano, would you like to elaborate on some of that? Yes, absolutely.
So those stories go along with the campaign we had with students sharing their stories with us. They're really, really touching. And that candy is very popular within our students, EL students, Hispanic students. It's called tamarindo, which is based off a plant that's the tamarindo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Whitlow, I see your face.
It's hot.
It is spicy, I believe.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there are some chilies in there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, right up my alley then. I like spicy stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
We're going into recess to try the game.
that's right. So with Executive Order 33, this is the governor's executive order for cell phone-free education. And so the final guidelines from the VDOE were issued in August. The draft was in August. The final was issued in September. They did come to us on the 16th of September. So what my staff and I have done is we have gone through the guidance document and we have pulled from it the most essential information that is going to need to be part of our policy. So what you will see first are the definitions. So the guidance really focused on defining what it meant by bell-to-bell, what is meant by cell phone-free education, what instructional time means, what the word stored means, what cell phone actually means. And so we wanted to make sure that we pulled that information out to make sure that there was a common understanding in terms of the language and the terminology. So that is certainly something that will be part of our policy. We also know that the guidance recommended, or actually requires, there to be outlines for elementary, for middle school, and for high school. So what you'll see is some of that language pulled from the guidance, but you'll also see statements in red that we are currently drafting. Again, this is a draft version at this time. We were directed in the guidance to insert our own policy into that spot. So as you see under elementary at number 3, that was a question of each local school division will make its own policy regarding use of cell phones on a bus, right? So what you see in red is where we inserted what we are expecting or anticipating to be our stance on elementary students using a cell phone on a school bus. And so as you scroll through, anytime you see something in red, that is where we have inserted a draft of language that we anticipate to include in the policy. As we scroll on through, you'll see that there is guidance there for middle school, and then there is also guidance there for secondary or our high school students. And then the guidance also included exemptions to cell phone free education, and those are targeted to our students with special needs or students who may have a medical condition that would require the use of a cell phone. But you'll note that use of that is limited, and it should be done in conjunction with a conversation with our school nurse and our Director of Student Services. So it's not just an automatic given. We would also entertain options for non-cell phone based tracking of a condition. There's also a section there on emergency communications. Again, we wanted to make sure that we were speaking the same language with regards to what is considered a family-based emergency, what is considered a non-emergency, and we are, again, in draft of this. I bring this to you tonight just as means of an update of where that policy is at this point. Our intention, again, is to bring you a formally drafted policy that will be in that policy format to our next board meeting. And then that would sit for 30 days of a read, and it would be approved at the December meeting. So in between now and our creation of that formal draft for the November meeting, we will be engaging in conversations with our principals, with my superintendent advisory groups to get their input on that. And if you all have input as well, we would receive that input also. So that is where we stand at present. I am also holding a work session with our secondary principals. The date has escaped me, but I know it's in the next week or so, where we are going to talk about the regulation side of this, which would be the consequences of students who do not follow the protocols and follow the policy. So I will be doing a work session with our principals as to what those consequences should be. Questions about the executive order and cell phone free education?
One,
Good. No one else?
oh,
Currently,
anyway.
the joke would be, I've heard from certain members that, you know, we've had this discussion month after month, so they feel
Right.
well acquainted to a degree, but.
Okay. Well, I just, a question concerning the exemptions to
Yes, sir.
the cell phone. I don't know, have we had conversations as of yet to determine what type of exemptions and when we get to that point, would that something be spelled out, or is it gonna be a case by case?
It is case by case. The way that the language in the guidance is written is that it is approached on a case by case, but it is very clear that it is not just an automatic given. Rather, we should explore, are there non-cell phone ways to monitor? I know, for example, a lot of individuals now who have diabetes will use a cell phone to keep track of blood sugar. That is not the only way to keep track of blood sugar. It is one method, and so we would entertain that. But again, that does require either an IEP or a 504 plan for that to be part of this conversation.
Just a quick comment to that with the suggestion of other options for blood glucose monitoring. When you use the CGM, which is what you use the phone for, it's very accurate. Finger sticks are not always accurate, and you're sticking your finger 2 and 3 times a day for some type 1s. I would highly recommend against a finger stick and let them at least have specific times to test with their phone. It's just a scan and that's it. It's not like they're gonna be searching anything.
Anything else?
Dr. Blake-Lewis, I know this becomes effective once we return for winter break. Do you feel like we should have a test period before we go, and so the students, when they come back, they are somewhat used to what we're going to be doing?
I'm not averse to that. I will say that currently our policy is not so far off from this. Right now, our elementary students do not have cell phones, so that is identical to what this draft guidance is, or this draft policy is showing. Our middle school students have very limited use of their cell phones. I believe currently middle schools only allow it during lunch. And at our high schools, I know that it is during class changes and at lunchtime. I do know we have a high school principal in the audience this evening. Mr. Mentor is here. I believe he's still here. Mr. Mentor, I don't know if you would like to weigh in on that potential preview.
My joke would be I would actually have preferred if you kept the sunglasses.
Sorry, I have to take them off when I come up here. Period. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you. This is something that Dr. Blake Lewis gave us early this summer in our retreat. And we actually, at our class meetings, I did discuss this, or the other admin team, we discussed this as this is coming. We don't have any clear definition at the moment, but at my school, it's something that we have not had many issues with cell phones. They use it in the hallways or in the cafeteria. And students have become accustomed to that, so we're not far off from the language. We just have to make some adjustments, and we went ahead and preloaded that this year with letting our students know early. So.
Thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot. No, Mr. Hardy, thank you for that. I can certainly mention that to our high school and middle school principals and see if they would maybe potentially like to pilot that maybe during the month of December, since it is a short month, and just to make sure that the students know that it will be a permanent requirement when we come back in January. Mid-year implementations are never ideal. This would have been much better, I think, if it had been prepared and ready to start the year with, or delayed to the start of the next school year. However, we don't have that option, so we will move forward as directed, and I believe that we will be able to do this without many issues, as Mr. Minter stated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, the next item is the consent agenda. So unless somebody wants to pull an item out, I'd be open to a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Mrs. Durden with the motion, Mr. Alker with the second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you. We're up to the action agenda. So the approval to purchase 5 65-passenger conventional school buses. Dr. Benton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Per the bus replacement schedule, there are 5 65-passenger school buses due to be replaced. It is recommended that up to 5 65-passenger buses be purchased from Sunny Merriman out of Rustburg, Virginia, through the state contract listed. The cost per bus is $127,177. So it is recommended that the 5 buses be purchased through Sunny Merriman through the state contract. The estimated cost is $635,885 out of this year's transportation budget. And just as a point of reference, this is in line for what we were appropriated by the state for the purchase of new school buses.
Any questions or comments? Okay. If none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I feel like it's very important that we keep our transportation department as up to date as possible. So therefore, I move to approve the 5 65-passenger conventional school buses.
So we have a motion by Mr. Hardy. Do we have a second? I don't know if I should go. I saw Mrs. Whitlow's hand first.
It's Durden.
Okay, we're going with Mrs. Durden.
My mouth's still a little hot, so I didn't speak.
The graceful exchange here. We'll go with the second was by Mrs. Durden. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you also for the commentary, Mr. Hardy. The comment I've made before is, doesn't really matter how great our programming may be if we can't get them to school in the first place. So, next item is approval of proposed revisions to school board policies and regulations. Mrs. Landon.
Good evening. Policy revisions were presented to the board for first reading at the September 5th board meeting. Revisions reflect efforts to bring policies and regulations into compliance with new or existing laws. Unless there are any questions, policy revisions are being presented for approval by the board at this time.
Questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. If there are none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the revisions to the school board policies and regulations.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Bringer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gravely. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Ms. Lamb. All right, we're up to superintendent's reports. Dr. Blake Lewis, right back up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your board docs, you will see the superintendent's highlight added under executive content. I'll start with Saturday Academy. We have held 2 Saturdays of Saturday Academy for our 3rd through 8th grade students at this time. Ms. Milner and I have made visits to those sites on either of those Saturdays. And I am happy to report in talking with students, they are excited. They say they love the small groups and they are enjoying engaging in some hands-on activities during Saturday Academy. It has been a wonderful experience for these students. Also embedded within Saturday Academy is the Newcomers Academy. I know Ms. Altamirano is taking part in that as well. And so we have had tremendous participation in our Newcomers Academy where they are focusing on honing their English language acquisition skills. They get to practice speaking with each other, and it's very comfortable to be in that group with other English learners. And so it is proving to be a very great experience for these students. There are some photos at the bottom of the superintendent's highlights, so you can certainly take a look at those and see that the children are definitely engaging in hands-on and enjoying that. We are going to have a visit from our delegate Ren Williams and also from Delegate Eric Phillips on November 11th. Thank you to Mr. Hardy for getting the ball rolling on that. We will be at Bassett High School with Mr. Mentor, but we will also be inviting the student cabinet, my superintendent student cabinet, so that they can be part of that experience. That invitation is also extended to our student board representatives, so you all will be getting an invitation to that as well. So that day will actually be a 10 a.m. till noon. You can see the agenda there. We'll start with arrival and introductions of the student advisory group, and they will be allowed to kind of share their Henry County experiences with the delegates. From there, we'll transition to some tours of the school, and Mr. Mentor and his team will highlight some of the great things that are going on at Bassett High School, and then we'll all have lunch together from 11:30 until 12. So as board members, you are certainly invited. It is the VSBA, Take Your Legislator to School Day, and so we would love to have you with us. If you are able to attend, if you would please let Ms. Meeks know that you'll be present, and that will help us count for lunches. Also, I have set a reminder here of our winter school board retreat for January 22nd. I know it seems like it's a long way off, but it's already October, so time is really going fast. I have linked a document here for board members to add topics of discussion for that winter board retreat. So if you have some topics that you would like to add, please be sure that you use that document, and that will help in preparing the agenda. My month at a glance is also here. You can see that we have an upcoming principals meeting on the 8th, but we will also have an artificial intelligence training session with our principals that afternoon. The trainer will also be working with teaching staff, I believe, in the morning time. So that is something we are certainly looking forward to. Ms. Fulcher and her staff have set that up with an AI expert. Her name is Leslie Fisher, and so she will actually be in the division with us to lead this work around artificial intelligence. On October 9th, I have my Region 6 superintendent's meeting. I will be taking some personal leave on Friday the 11th that afternoon. I have a niece who's getting married on Saturday, so I will be heading to North Carolina for a rehearsal dinner and a wedding the following day. I will remain available by phone if anyone should need me. Patrick and Henry quarterly meeting on October 21st. Ms. Milner and I will be over there to talk dual enrollment and numbers and how we can continue to refine the number of students who are taking advantage of dual enrollment. And then the VAST conference for superintendents is in Richmond, Virginia, October 27th through the 29th. In addition to that, I also have my schedule there for school visits. As you know, I do spend 1 hour a month in every school, walking the buildings, popping into classrooms, meeting with the principal and discussing, whatever is on his or her mind. So if there is a day or time that any board member would like to join me on those visits, just give me a call, let me know, and I would be happy to have you join me. I will be adding this calendar to the highlights every month for your reference, so that if you are available last minute, you can just give me a quick call and say, hey, I'm suddenly available on October 17th. I'm going to come meet you at such and such school, and that would be great. I think that our staff would love to see you doing that. Still working on getting the Education Foundation framework laid. There are still quite a few blank spots on that list of potential candidates for that. So if you have the time to fill in some of that information, I would greatly appreciate it. I have started making contact, but as I said, there are lots of blank spaces. In addition, I would like to address the board regarding some other recent events in the division. It has been an incredibly busy month, very much unlike last September. This September has seemed to have been very hectic and chaotic at times. So during the month of September, we saw a spike in the number of threats of school violence. Working with the Henry County Sheriff's Department, we were able to quickly determine the sources of these threats and act accordingly. Many of the threats were communicated through social media, but they did not originate from our area, and some were reposts of more than a year ago. Parents received updates through Parent Square to keep them posted, and in many cases, I recorded a voice message that was delivered to them, and that was also through the Parent Square app. I want to thank the Henry County Sheriff's Department, specifically Captain Sandy Hines and Lieutenant Keller, for their assistance to ensure the safety of our students. They were very instrumental during this time and very helpful in keeping us aware of what was going on and tracking down leads. Very helpful partnership there. I am aware of concerns regarding high humidity at Rich Acres Elementary, and as I communicated to the board last week, we had a complete HVAC replacement there over the summer. We've been in regular contact with the service provider who's been able to address these concerns. Last Monday, a repair was made to the dehumidifier of the HVAC units. However, due to multiple days of rain, the system was struggling to make gains in addressing the high humidity. But that dehumidifier has continued to operate, and during my visit at Rich Acres this morning, I noted a comfortable temperature and was informed that the humidity rate was between 61 and 64%, which is considered a normal range. I also looked for signs of mildew or mold, and I did not see any. As a precaution, an environmental technician did visit the campus this afternoon to take samples to assess the air quality. I feel this concern is being addressed, but we will continue to monitor. As we transition into the fall and winter months, I offer a reminder to staff, parents, and students. Each year, the division office issues a memo to all principals and directors regarding our processes and procedures for inclement weather. Principals and directors share this memo with staff. Additionally, principals make parents aware of the inclement weather process during back-to-school orientation sessions or through written communication. Board Policy EBCD, school closings, is the recommended policy of the VSBA and is adopted by Henry County Public Schools. The associated regulation, EBCD-R, offers further clarification. The decision to delay or cancel school is never an easy one. Many factors come into play when considering a delay or a closure. Needs of students, whether physical, academic, emotional, or social, are always a primary consideration. Also considered are transportation, food insecurity, and staff who are timesheet employees who do not get paid if we are not in session. I also think of parents who work in the private sector whose business or organization does not close, and their reliance upon the school division for the safe supervision of their children. My staff and I began watching the storm early in the week. We received updates from the Henry County Public Safety and reviewed those daily. On Thursday, we considered a 2-hour delay, but decided against that when we noted the forecast called for heavier rain and wind between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. This made a delay not a viable option. Knowing this window of 10 to 2, we saw the possibility to have school. We knew our students would be safe with us during this time, but we committed to revisit the situation the following morning at 5 a.m. At 4 a.m., myself, Dr. Boone, Keith Scott, and other members of the maintenance team and transportation team drove the county to assess our roads and creeks. We discovered that one area of the county had water levels that had risen overnight, and it caused us concern, not for the morning transportation, but possibly it would be an issue for afternoon transportation. At that time, we made the difficult decision to cancel school. It has been and continues to be our commitment to make all weather calls by 6 a.m. This call was made and the public notified by 5:30 a.m. I assure the board and the public that my decision of school delay or cancellation is a responsibility that I take seriously. My decisions will always be in alignment with Virginia Code and school board policy. I encourage staff to revisit the inclement weather memo, and I will ask for schools to remind parents of our inclement weather processes as well. Another concern that was shared this month was regarding the need for clarity for our school nutrition staff, their workday expectations during inclement weather. So I am working with Dr. Boone and Ms. Lexa, our Director of School Nutrition, to determine where the confusion may have stemmed, and will revise our communicated expectations, processes, and procedures, and those will be shared with school nutrition staff soon. And finally, I have met with all of my superintendent advisory committees, student, teacher, support staff, and parent. I am using their input in the revision of our strategic plan. During our September meetings, we revisited the mission and vision statements of Henry County Public Schools. I have shared that I feel strongly that mission and vision statements should represent all the voices of our school community. Advisory groups, principals, school staff, division office staff, and outside agencies are all part of the strategic planning process. I will be sharing a full update of progress at the Winter Board Retreat in January. Thank you.
Is there any questions, comments from the board?
I have a few.
Okay.
So I was made aware that I didn't even know if we don't cancel school by, or notify by 2 p.m. the day before, that the delivery trucks can't cancel for food. So therefore, nutrition staff has to come in the next day. I didn't know, I don't know if everybody else was aware of that or if that's considered, but if the truck is not notified by 2 p.m. the previous day, it's coming out, which means that driver's put at risk, nutrition staff has to show up, from what I'm told by several supervisors. Is that true?
I would say that was true for that day. Now, she's taking that into consideration when we have weather events like this to know for future reference to reschedule those trucks.
Okay. My next question.
Now, I'm not saying that's why they had to come in. I mean, that was a big reason why some of them did.
Well, and I know that she's going to get some of that straight with nutrition staff, but it clearly advertises on our Facebook page, nutrition staff does not work if school is closed.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to delay that conversation to closed session as it does deal with personnel matters.
Okay.
I would go with that at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah, I think I would like to see us plan ahead a little more. I really think constituents would need to know her reasons behind why she made that decision, which I think are commendable in the safety of the students. But at the same time, there's two sides to that, with preparation, with parents and child care and that sort of thing. And if we plan ahead, we can send meals home. We can open the school to be a safe haven for those who don't have safe structures and those sort of things. And I think that we should look at that in the future.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Berger. We are up to committee reports. So please keep my trend of starting down here. That would be Mr. Gravely, Mr. Alker. Do you all have a report?
Our report has pretty much been shared. I talked to Mr. Milton about Saturday school, and it appears that we're off to a great start there. And she and I had a conversation maybe one Saturday while it was going on, and so we're good.
Okay. All right. So, Mrs. Whitlow,
Yes.
Mr.
I met with Dr. Boone and Mr. Scott this week, and Mr. Boone was making me aware of the time and energy in the implementation on the weapon detection systems. So they have started working on that within the schools. It's gone really well. The school that has already implemented that, the principal walked around to each class to talk to the students prior to the detection system, the start of that, and the students were aware even before they got off the bus of what they needed to do, and so all of that went great, very planned, and they'll continue to introduce those systems to other schools through the next couple of weeks or even months. Mr. Scott said that field houses, they'll be starting work on those either the week of October the 14th or the 21st, pending approval of the permits. And work at Rich Acres on the system is being done to help with the high humidity, and Dr. Blake Lewis has already talked about that, and they have basically got that one conquered too. So we had a great meeting with a lot of positive input from Mr. Scott and Dr. Boone.
Good, all right. Mr. Hardy and Mrs. Brinegar.
Mr. Chairman and everyone else, I think we have an excellent report tonight. But before I go into my report, or our report, excuse me, I want to mention just a couple of things about 54 years ago, before a lot of y'all were born. I was a student at Drury Mason, and I really, really wanted to go to Virginia Tech. But keep in mind, I was a farm boy. I did not know much about what you need to go and do in order to go to college and so on. I had a guidance counselor at Drury Mason. Her name was Miss Eunice Roberts, and I will never forget her. She took me by the hand in the 9th grade and guided me step by step until I got my 12th grade year, whereas I could apply to Virginia Tech. And I will never forget what she did for me in order to get me to Virginia Tech. One thing she did tell me in the 9th grade though, she said, "Champ, you are gonna have to make good grades. I know y'all do not have a lot of money, and we are gonna get as many scholarships for you as we can when we get in the 9th grade, when you get into 12th grade." I will never forget Miss Roberts, and I really, really do appreciate her. Now, the committee report I'm giving tonight, the first 4 items, I do not take credit for anything that I do not do. I want Mrs. C to know that I really, really do appreciate the information you sent me this week on the guidance counselors for Henry County Public Schools. People, I did not change it a bit. This is word for word. Some of this might be a little bit hard for me to say, but I will go slow and I think you will understand it. This year, elementary and secondary school counselors are meeting separately, allowing for more targeted discussions and collaboration on topics specific to their grade levels. All counselors have been briefed on their roles in administering the annual SEL, which stands for Social Emotional Learning Survey through Renaissance Fundamentals. This survey provides valuable insights into social emotional factors that may hinder student learning before they develop into more serious issues. Counselors will play a crucial role in designing appropriate interventions based on the survey results. The last statement is my favorite statement because when I go into Rich Acres, when I go into Drury Mason, when I go into Magna Vista, I ask them, what are they doing about attendance? Attendance is a big thing for me, and I want our attendance to continue to move up as far as not missing schools like maybe we have in the past. The last thing, additionally, counselors are actively addressing absenteeism by creating attendance plans and contracts, as well as collaborating with court services at the secondary level. We are optimistic that these efforts will lead to continued improvements in our chronic absenteeism rates. Once again, Mr. C, thank you so much for the information. The information, as I said, was provided by Mr. C. The next step that we may take, and by the way, Mr. C is Director of Student Services, as most of us know. The next steps that we may take is we may meet with the counselors at either Magna Vista High School or Bassett High School and a selected elementary school in the spring of 2025 to receive their input on this year's counseling program. Okay, thank you very much.
I was gonna add on a couple of things to that. My husband, I have an article from the Martinsville Bulletin where he never missed a day from kindergarten to graduation, and he went to college, and the first day he skipped and never went back. He learned a trade, and he's never missed a day of work ever since then. And I think that the attendance is where we start work ethic with students in the workforce later in life as well. And I know HR can probably relate. It's hard sometimes to find a good work ethic employee who is present and pleasant. And this is where it starts, and I love this. And I would love to look at the end of the year, anybody who never missed a day, we need to put an article in the bulletin, and she's not out there, and make sure that they're recognized, because I think that's a big deal. We still have that article, look on it later. And there was a few things I was going to address, and I appreciate you for bringing it up. Then I don't have to, so you took care of some of my other comments for our committee, so thank you for that.
I think the comment, and I'll do two. One, I believe, if I'm getting it right, Barry Nelson's given the speech of he started college, he went 2 days, and then he moved on. So there's that. And then the other line, to your point on the HR side and everything else, is the first ability is availability. So, you can be the best, but if you're not there, it kind of...
And that being said, you don't have to always go to college. You can learn a trade. Trades are good. We need it, and she's not out here either, but our trades that we're offering, that it's great. I'm so glad that we have that opportunity for kids.
All right, so I don't know if you noticed we added student board members under the committee report, so I don't know if you have a specific committee report, given this is the first time we're springing that on you. But on top of that, I will say, I know, and I'll bring up, Mr. Bateman, you brought up a couple things last month, and my understanding is you did have follow-ups from those, and you're good. Okay, just wanted to make sure that, for the rest of the board, we knew that, you didn't just say things and they went into the wilderness. But Ms. Patel, Mr. Bateman, you got anything for now? And then we'll come back to you with board celebrations too. You get two different chances at the mic.
I think for now, I just want to say, bring up the attendance. I think it has been better this year till now compared to last year. And second thing is metal detectors, as they're the new things. I think they are going very smooth. I have heard teachers talking how in the mornings it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's been going very smooth, and there haven't been any issues. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Bateman.
No, I just want to agree with Krishna here. It's definitely going very smooth. Everything is going pretty good.
Okay, good. Hey, I gladly take that report.
Yeah,
bad.
I was going to ask that question, but Mr. Mena left, so you guys there, so heard, as they say, from the horse's mouth.
There we go.
Good to hear that.
I'll just say quickly a few things. One, I know I've been updating you in previous months about the fundraising that the Lions Club been doing for additional support at the Inclusive Playground at Meadowview. They received a rather significant grant and have submitted their application for the matching grant from the state and I think the international, or at least that's, if it's not already submitted, it's right there to happen. So we should hear answers on that in the next few months, and that could be a nice achievement. Many of you, I think, are also aware that our lump sum funding request did not pass at the Board of Supervisors. The Henry County Enterprise did reach out to me for comments on that. I kind of relayed some of the discussion that we had previously had. That may come out either later this week or next week. Can't speak more to it because I don't know how they'll put that out, but just making you aware of that. And then, of course, I wanted to thank Dr. Blake Lewis, the staff, and everything, because as you mentioned, there's been a lot this month, whether it be the security threats, the weather, any other act of God you can name. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into making this work and how much it impacts in the community. And I know everybody's doing their best and working their hardest. And, you know, I just want to thank all of you that got it. I can tell you right now, there's many things that I will work around the clock for. 4 a.m. going around to see whether or not the creek's too high is probably beyond me. So thank you all for that. Of course, I also want to say thank you to Ms. Altamirano and the various, you know, presentation and everything we got there. I mean, I love what we've got going. I loved seeing, you know, I know that was an item Dr. Blake Lewis and the board brought up and our various planning, and I just love seeing that come to fruition and the results from that. And I know that the event next week will be fantastic. I saw how great it was last year. I regret I will be out of town, so I can't make that, but otherwise I'd be there. But it's, I do know last year, just, you know, off the charts. So that'll be my reports on those for now. But we get to board celebrations, and I guess we'll, since I went around that way, we'll circle right back around. Mr. Gravely, you're up.
Well, I don't know if it's much as a celebration, but there are a couple of things that I want to mention. And I guess the first, we need to look at the governor's school.
I know, you know what, I apologize. You brought that up to me, and then among everything, that slipped my mind, but you're correct. So,
Okay. So whoever is selected might be a celebration for them.
So,
but anyway, what we need to do is to select a member to represent us on the governor's school board. Now, I have done it over the last,
I believe,
years.
I was going to say, my recollection, and to help you out, given the fact you're sort of the subject of the motion you're kind of bringing up to a degree, we tend to do well, most likely anyway, we've had, as I recall, it's 3-year appointment, and you've done this for 6 years, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong. You've done 2 terms of 3 is my recollection. And you've served as chair, even for the governor's school. So we're up for needing to select again. So Mr. Gravely, you know, you're willing, but you're also not wanting to decline anyone else who may be interested in serving in the role. It's my understanding of this.
Well, that's correct. I mean, you know, I don't mind doing it. However, I felt like, you know, we need to bring it to the board to see if anybody else would be interested, and if so, I'll graciously decline or step away. But, you know, it's up to the board.
Somebody else.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mr. Gravely, you have done a wonderful job over the last 6 years, and I sure hope you will continue doing that.
Okay. Well, if no one else, and I'm getting nods, but if anyone else wants to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Gravely for the 3-year term or however long he will endure, I would entertain that motion.
I move to approve Mr. Ben Gravely as our representative for Gov School.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Springer, second by Mr. Hardy. All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Do I vote on that?
Oh, well, you know what? I think in the past you have voted on that, but in our recent trend, I'm thinking you're abstaining. Or you wanting to vote no?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, so unanimous with an abstention. All right, so took care of that. By the way, your celebration, congratulations.
Celebration.
So great.
No, actually, I do have another. I was asked to participate in a civic activity at Theodore Collinsville Middle School about a week ago, and I just want to thank, you know, Theodore Collinsville's administration, you know, the 7th grade class on that platform. I mean, they had some outstanding questions just to give you an idea. The role of a school board, what do we do? What do we do? And, I stressed to them, we have three main objectives, of course. And one, first and foremost, is to make sure that we hire our instructional leader and evaluate our instructional leader. And I specifically said, that person is the superintendent. We had to kind of break it down a little bit, the superintendent. And then providing policy, because the other issue came up with the cell phones, in which I told them we have not yet finalized that, but they were curious too, which is great, And the third area was communication. How do we communicate, And so I just want to thank them for an outstanding job. We always look for different ways in which we can provide learning experiences and to bring in governmental officials and have a platform where they ask questions to get information. I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank FC for doing it. I think we got one coming up in next few weeks, maybe at Laurel Park, but just kudos to FC on that. Okay. And I guess my last bit would be to put our student board members on the hot seat. If you recall last month and even last year, I mentioned something about our Be Kind campaign. And, I like to maybe get our student board members, involved in some type of Be Kind campaign and let you guys come back and present to us as to how we want to celebrate, how to get that celebration in, celebrate being kind at possibly at every level, elementary, middle, high school. So just want to throw that out there for you. Okay.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
The Be Kind, my niece does something like that she's in pageants, and they have a Be Kind kind of campaign that they do, and she goes around to all the county schools, even though she goes to a private school, and puts Post-it notes on the mirrors in the bathrooms before school opens. And she is 11 years old and starts at 4 a.m. and goes, and they let her in the school, and she puts it on the mirrors and stuff like that, and it's really made a difference.
My comment again will be, I'm impressed by these up at 4 a.m. folks.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I'm up at 4 a.m., I haven't slept yet. But thank you very much. So, you done, Mr. Goldie?
I'm done.
Okay, just making sure. I enjoy that you worked a celebration into assigning work to the student board.
Yeah, really.
But, Mr. Walker,
Yes.
you have any celebrations or anything?
Well, the only celebration that I can do is that I have seen the Matterhorn face to face. Linda and I have been out of the country for most of January, and we got to Switzerland and to Italy and had a great time. That's my celebration because I want to share it with you all.
And you even sent me a photo that I allegedly souvenir
Yes,
shop in
I
Zurich.
must explain this. We were on the bridge in Zurich, and I looked across the bridge, and there was a stand or a store, and it had Teddy's souvenirs, and I couldn't resist.
Yeah. So I don't hear from Mr. Walker, and then all of a sudden I get a photo of Teddy's souvenir shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a good time. You made it back safely.
I am too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Whitlow.
Yes, my big celebration is the weapons detection system. I think that's fantastic and a huge step into securing our buildings.
I will echo you. I've had several parents and others reach out favorably about
Yes.
that. Mrs. Durden.
Trying to choose my words very carefully. In the past few months, I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of other high schools in our area. seeing how sporting events, things, how different schools are doing those things. And I just want to say that up until I had the opportunity, I took for granted the professionalism, the commitment, the dedication that our Henry County Public Schools school resource officers have. And I just want to say that I don't want to take that for granted, and I'm trying not to compare, but I think that's something we can all celebrate.
Definitely.
Thank you. I would also echo, I forgot to say, I was thanking our folks, but I would add certainly, and I know Dr. Blake Lewis mentioned, in dealing with all these threats, the partnership with Sheriff's Office, et cetera. So, again, the community aspect. So, do want to broaden my comment, make sure I'm not overly limited. Mr. Hardy.
I had the pleasure this past Monday to visit our local YMCA to watch our first graders at Drury Mason Elementary School participate in a swimming program. It is wonderful that the first graders at Henry County Public Schools, as well as Martinsville Public Schools, have the opportunity to learn the basic fundamentals of swimming at such an early age, provided that their parents agree. Our first graders have had such a wonderful time, and they were learning a vital skill at the same time. The Y furnished qualified, efficient instructors to teach our students basic swimming fundamentals. Thank you to the Martinsville Henry County YMCA. My last thing is this. I have always been a huge supporter of finding a cure for breast cancer. As we know, the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is indeed a shame that a lady, and in a few cases men, have take care of him or herself for many years, then come home and have to tell their husband and the family that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that happens 1 out of 8 ladies. I myself, before my knees started hurting, I ran many 5K competitions in support of breast cancer, as well as donated money to the cause. Bassett High School Touchdown Club are selling breast cancer t-shirts, and they are conducting many other activities in honor of breast cancer this month. I am sure that Magna Vista are making the community very aware, and our other schools are doing the same thing. Therefore, no instructional time is lost. Most of it is done at sporting events. I commend any of our schools for supporting a cure for breast cancer during the month of October. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Mrs. Brenninger.
I usually have to say ditto because I'm towards the end, but nobody said what I was going to say today. So this is Custodial Appreciation Day was this past week, right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. My days are running together. So I would like to thank all of our custodians at the schools, if anybody's present, but I know that, like they said, we'd be a mess without them. But it's also Principals Month, and Mr. Minner's gone, so I'd like to celebrate our principals and recognize them. I know we've got some really good principals who work really hard for the students and the staff. The last thing is, this has been like the month of water, I think. I'm a Pisces, so it's kind of fitting. But other than all the hurricanes and everything, our office had a huge flood, not even weather related. One of the pipes broke, and we walked in one morning and it was 90% of the floor covered, and we were shut down for thankfully just 2 days. But a lot of people are experiencing devastation in Virginia and North Carolina, and I think we should be very thankful and celebrate that our area is safe, all of our families are safe, and that we are sitting here today and not trying to find somewhere to lay our heads or find a meal.
Thank you. No. I would also echo, and I'm appreciative, and I believe Mrs. Easley put out, and Ms. Brummett and the Career Academy, et cetera, collecting items for folks who've been impacted by the hurricanes. And I know previously we've also set up as kind of a shelter for various events, tornadoes, hurricanes, et cetera, when they've been more directly impacting here in Henry County. So I know, thanks to everybody who's doing that, and that's a great point. The other thing I'll say real quick before I put our student members on the hot seat and let them think about it for a second, and you can laugh, I did not recognize that it was also HR Professionals Day, I believe, last week. So throw that out for the HR staff here, but you can laugh. I got messaged at the end of the day of, Teddy, it's HR Day? But, you know, I'm like, I guess, I don't know. But,
I did forget one.
Sure.
And he's here, celebrating, I'm gonna say the name wrong, with barber. He cuts hair, right? Yes. Okay. I think he needs to give all the male board members a haircut. Let's see.
Are we putting that to a vote or no? All right.
I need one. I gotta wait until Monday because I'm heading out of town tomorrow, and I usually get a haircut on Fridays.
Okay.
So now I gotta wait until Monday.
Oh, you're like the old blue hairs, and you go every Friday, get your hair done.
You fix me up after the meeting?
You might enjoy that, you know, my job, the board meeting is quarterly, and that was one of the first things they noticed is like, Teddy got a haircut. So, you know, I got you. But thank you very much. Ms. Patel, you have any celebrations, anything you want to say, add? No. Okay. Mr. Bateman.
I would like to echo the just thankfulness that we have been safe from all the floods and stuff. I've seen a lot of footage of how hard it hit Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, all the places, and even a bit into Virginia. I just want to voice my thankfulness that we didn't get hit, and I would just urge everyone to please keep the affected area in your prayers and keep them. Just please pray for them, and if you can, please try to support them in any way, because I've seen damage done to places like Boone, Asheville, Lake Lord, even small towns all throughout the states. They've been devastated. The whole town is wiped off the map. Whole entire towns are underwater. So I just want to urge everyone to keep them in your prayers, and I just do want to voice thankfulness that we weren't hit too bad.
Again, I thank you all for making that point, and I also like how comprehensive you were of the area impacted. If I misheard you, forgive me. I would note there's, and Dr. Blake Lewis definitely knows this, because if any of you struggle to reach out to me, I'm usually in Grundy with like no cell service, but out there in far southwest Virginia, they're definitely taking it too, because I've got a few employees at where I work who are out there, one of which who is their estimated power restoration almost has them out for 2 weeks. And this is just devastation beyond anything they're used to up on the mountain. So thank you for noting that. And
I do know of a bunch of towns in Virginia, especially Independence, west of Galax. They've been hit really hard as well. And then all across the region of Appalachia has been devastated. And just hope everyone should please keep them in your prayers. And if you can support them, please do.
Yeah. Thank you very much. All right. Go ahead.
I truly have a celebration.
Oh, you're not assigning more work in your celebration? Go ahead.
Now, since we had the groundbreaking for our field houses, and I'm sure you guys probably have received, but I have received, I mean, I can tell you how many positive comments about that. So that's a celebration for all of us, you know, having to move forward with those field houses. People are really excited about that. So kudos to the Henry County Schools.
No, I'm similar to you. I got a lot of, I do laugh that quite a few of them start with like, finally, we got it. So, I was definitely happy to hear the report and, the permitting process and getting it going. I think I'll echo what Coach Johnson said at the Bassett one. If it'll get set up about as fast as one of these Dollar Generals, we can really be at it. But thank you very much for that. So, reminder of dates, it's the standard. We have the next monthly meeting, first Thursday, evening meeting. Of course, conferences, most everyone is signed up for the annual convention, do understand. We have a couple who may not be able to make it due to other work or other conflicts. We'll definitely have you in spirit. And but look forward to that in Williamsburg in later November. So if there are no other items, we would be heading to closed session for 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for the discussion of appointments, evaluation and separations of personnel, 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia for consultation with our legal counsel pertaining to actual or probable litigation, and then 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia for the discussion and consideration of recommendations for religious exemptions. So unless there's anything to add, do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion,
Second.
Second by Ms. Bringer. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. We are enclosed. Thank you very much.